when we focus on a feeling and not the memory, or not the we're thinking about, you said think of something, and then attachment to thought leads to feeling. Okay? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
So then once we have that feeling, do we work on just focusing on it in depth, or spreading it around our body? Like, what?
No, everything that will happen spontaneously. Just as a result of you immersing yourself in that feeling.
Okay.
It doesn't happen as long as you keep yourself busy with the thought,
Right.
or the visualization, the image. So it should not be physical anymore, should not be mental anymore. It should be purely a feeling. But this is the difficulty about Samadhi. Samadhi in itself is very easy, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes it difficult to achieve for most people is their lack of training in becoming reliant on just feeling of things. Your ability to come to the essence of things, that is not reason, but it is purely a matter of feeling. So the more sensitive you are, the more powerful you become. It sounds very strange, but we live in a society where the opposite is thought. The more knowledge you gather, the more powerful you become. But in fact, the more sensitive you become, the more you are able to control.
Because for me, feeling is really physical. Like I feel, when I have emotions, I feel them really strong in my body.
But the emotion is, first of all, a feeling that is not physical, but it affects you physically. And for that we have learned detachment.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's the same for me.
Say again? You're not sure that what?
I just feel like I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it's good. It's good anyway. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? That we live in a society where it is thought that you are powerful if you have a lot of knowledge. Of course, knowledge makes. How do you say that? Knowledge is power?
Yeah.
To some extent that is true, sure. So institutionalized education has led to incredible developments in humankind overall, all over the world. When you're very sensitive, and most of us are probably, otherwise you wouldn't be here, I think, it's my guess. Maybe especially when you were younger, and maybe even still now, when you are a sensitive person, people think that you are weak. People consider you to be out of control and emotional and unstable, etc., etc. On the contrary, the opposite is true. Only you have to learn to trust your feeling. Learn to trust, and do not go along with those people who say and think that it is a weakness. On the contrary, it is one of your biggest assets. And yoga basically helps you to give it shape, to give it structure. And all the techniques that we are doing from the very beginning are leading to increased sensitivity.
I'm having trouble finding a way of whatever in the last was it Sananda, of manifesting a feeling of love. I mean, I intellectually understand the how it is supposed to work, but none of I cannot find something that creates that feeling. I'm not good at feeling these things.
You are a teacher.
And I don't teach love. You
teach children.
Yes.
Look at them. Your heart melts. Not always.
You don't teach children.
Well, some people lose their hair, of course. No, but surely they can be a real pain in the butt. But there must be moments that you just sit there and look at them, and you start to sparkle. Your heart melts. Just by the way of their cuteness, their being adorable. That is love. That is a form of love, Ananda. Don't you ever have such moments?
Well, I mean, maybe part of it is just, for me, the concept of love is so hard to pin down, so hard to define. I mean, everybody knows what
but
it is.
But it's closer by than you think.
Because, well, for students and things like that, it's more of like a sense of responsibility for me, not like a sense of...
Do you have a pet? Or have you had a pet?
I've had a pet, but...
A lizard.
It's
Sorry.
It's just, it's hard to...
Yeah, no, but how about your mom?
Pets love for you.
I don't know, because like I think of like the things, I don't know, maybe it's just a negative mind, but I just think of the certain conflicts. Usually it's, I don't know, when I think of an image, I'll think of a negative aspect of it, and that kind of distracts me from only focusing on a love, because like any figure, I would see a duality to it, whatever, and knowing that duality is there, I can't really just focus on the love, because I know the other thing is there too.
Mm.
Maybe it's
You know, as upgrowing children, we do have our conflicts with our moms. That's because we don't understand our mom. I have fought my mom. At some point I became very rebellious and I felt I had to express myself, so anybody before me I would yell at. My teachers, my neighbors, my mom, siblings. And my mom took decisions I didn't agree with, for example, and I hated her for that. But when I got older, I understood why she did the things that she did, and it was out of love. And she could take decisions in affairs that I had not the capability or the maturity to oversee, and she did what was best. So when I take my mom as an example, surely there are memories that could distract me. I quickly shove them aside. Because in the end, she just sacrificed more than 20 years of her life. And looking at all my brothers and sisters, that comes closer to 30 years, if not more. And it is this sacrifice that is pure love, really. So you just strip it of all the auxiliary things. And try to come to the essence of the heart that is behind it. But again, to come back to your being a teacher, teaching is a calling. It's not just a job, it's a calling. So there must be some heart in it. There must be some love in it for you to teach. You have maybe a dream to help young children to grow into mature adults, balanced, go through a balanced development, maybe even with passion to help them avoid mistakes you made. That is love. So it's not only about love between partners. On the contrary, actually, it's more about the selfishless love. Ananda is really selfishless love. The love actually for everybody. That is also where this exercise will lead. When your heart opens up, there is love everywhere, from you to everywhere. Even to ugly people, even to the people that have tried to harm you. When your heart opens up, there is only compassion, understanding. Yeah. A pet is helpful. It can be a sibling, brother or a sister with whom you grew up and had all your adventures with. It can be a teacher from the past, a teacher who was really concerned about you, engaged with you. Yeah. Actually, what is interesting about these exercises, ecstasy and bliss, love and joy, is that if you continue to do it and you just think of love, it is already there without image, without thought. It's already there. When we do savichara, which is ecstasy, I just say, wow, and that's all, and it's there. I already feel it when I say wow now. It's like, it's just like that. You become love, you become ecstasy, it's there. And it was there when you were not polluted, when you were a child. Along the way you lost it, but you restore it by doing these exercises again, it comes back. It becomes second nature again. Yeah?
With that, I just have a couple memories of my mom, and I thought of one of the memories that was like involved the least amount of conflicting things.
Yeah.
It's like I felt a lot of emotions, but not a lot of feelings, but I could kind of focus on the one that felt really good. But that felt like something that maybe ended like really abruptly. So I was like at 5, and that's like the last memory I have like that. And I was thinking that the feeling of like bliss or like love, can that be like, if you feel like you don't have that in your life, can that be the source of like addiction and things like that? Because it felt really instantly like, I don't know.
Like lack of love?
Lack of, like, yeah, the nurturing love. Just like that parental, I don't know, the safety that comes with that.
I don't know. If I look at my situation, I'm capable of saying I love you these days, but I haven't ever heard that word in my life growing up. I've never used it, I've never heard it. I've never had a hug from my dad or my mom, neither my other siblings. So we grew up thinking that is normal. But that doesn't mean that you can't feel love, on the contrary.
It's not, I don't feel that, it's just that I didn't have that. The one thing that I was remembering today is something that I didn't have again. And I could feel like just how it's almost like a drug. Like I just was like, God, I remember that feeling. And I just wonder if that's the base of certain things, like why people would drink a lot or do a lot of drugs or whatever.
Well, I've had issues with those things, so that's very possible. Yeah, that's very possible, or likely even. Yeah, but when you listen, this is also interesting. When you choose your mom, for example, or anybody else for this issue of bliss, and you come across those conflicts, even if you don't reach samadhi, you must have some very valuable insights there. One of the things is that you come to the conclusion that all those conflicts are nothing, because they are based on ego and pride. And when you're able to understand that, the tension of that conflict falls away, and you feel compassion. You feel compassion for yourself, out of understanding, and for the person you had those conflicts with. If the ego hadn't been standing in the way, on both sides, there hadn't been the need for conflict. So it doesn't matter whether you reach this samadhi or not, but in the process, you either come to samadhi or you have very, very valuable insights. And you can call that burning of karma. You clear out of the way obstacles that have been there and continue to be there until you basically come to the essence of what happened, and then you smile and you say, actually, in hindsight, it was all nothing. Not yet?
Well, I don't know if you remember that my mom, we didn't fight, she died. So that's not what I'm thinking about, but yeah, I guess it probably is all nothing anyway. I mean, it's, yeah.
I do hope that you come to that conclusion eventually.
Yeah.
Otherwise it continues to be an obstacle.
You mean it's nothing as in, it's like, it's just an event and then your ego makes it into problems and, I don't know how to apply what you said to the situation.
Yeah, conflicts are always based on ego and pride. No?
Yeah, so, I mean, what conflict?
No, wait. Buddhism goes out from the point of view that everything just is. There is no good and bad. So even if you have been treated bad, including abuse maybe, there is the fact that you put an emotional label on it is related to ego. But if you take distance from it and you look at it in a more rational way, based on the Buddhist premises that everything just is, there is no good and bad, everything just is as is, no label on it, you then see that everything fulfills a role. Also the experiences that we label as bad. If I had not been able to grasp this, I would not have been able to continue living life. I would just have destroyed myself with emotion. Self-pity, even. And in the end I came to the conclusion that if I have to put a label on it, it has helped me. And I came to the conclusion, and this depends on whether you believe in higher powers or not, in God or whatever you call it. I came to the conclusion that I needed those conflicts, obstacles, the suffering over the years. They were giving this suffering to me to make me realize something, to push me in a certain direction in life. And if they keep pushing and I don't listen, they give more suffering until the breaking point. And then either you break or you go along with the flow. How do you say this? In Holland we say bend or burst.
Bend or break.
Do or die? Bend or break?
Bend or break. Fight or flight.
Yeah, bend or break.
No.
And some people indeed break. Some people indeed break. And some people at last start drawing the valuable lessons that are embedded in it. Yeah.
Is there a point in Samyama where, like, I remember we were talking meditation, there's like 11 seconds, sort of. Like, is there like a rule like that for Samyama? Because I feel like there are a couple times we practiced,
No.
just for like an instant I felt something, but then
Yeah.
I'll just forget or like get distracted and then try again. So I wonder about that.
Samyama becomes only possible when you can practice samadhi.
Oh, samadhi, that's what I meant, samadhi.
Samadhi becomes only possible when your meditation has become as smooth as the ocean, when there is no ripple anymore in the water. So even if there are thoughts, they are somewhere in the background, and you are just observing them without being touched. The meditation starts when you have consecutive moments of 11 seconds of silence, thoughtlessness. But if you're still struggling to get to 11 seconds all the time, samadhi is not possible. It becomes possible when everything is smooth and calm. And then you add a little bit of tamas or a little bit of rajas. Or you stay in total peace, which is next week, asmita. Yeah. So the technique of samadhi is simple, but you need to come to a certain level to make it really real samadhi. Yeah.
As for the process, you just mentioned being smooth. Do we need to follow the order? I mean, pranayama and mudra and samadhi. Do you recommend we follow the order? This morning, after just several Shiva inflow,
Yeah.
I felt like I heard my nada was kind of beautiful, and I felt like stay with nada and
Yeah.
go to samadhi without pranayama or mudra. I guess someone asked about this before, but I don't remember your answer.
I don't remember my answer either.
Good.
But you are the master, you are the boss. This whole structure of going through those steps is an efficient way to change your condition, to transform your condition. But you've done this for a while, and this morning you took yourself the decision, like, hey, nada is clear enough, it's solid, let's just immediately go to samadhi.
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't. I just tried to follow the order, and it was so distracting.
Yes. So you have to learn to become a little bit more rebellious. Because you are the master. And experiment, play. You know, as a strict teacher, I should say, no, you should stick to the system. You must do this and this and this, otherwise you cannot do that. It doesn't work like that, really.
And the tricky part was that when I tried to samadhi part, it was hard for me to concentrate on such feeling or.
Yeah. As I've said before, these techniques all form a framework that help us to build something. It is possible that you have come to the point that actually you have built this already. And, well, whether you are right or not, if you feel like skipping the whole framework of techniques and just dive into samadhi, try it out. It might work. It might be wonderful. So we are doing all this to come to a transformation. It will lead to many qualities becoming second nature. The framework can indeed become a distraction. You see this specifically with people who are natural meditators. Over the years, we have had several people coming to the course. From the beginning, they resist everything. Because all they have to do is just sit and stare at the wall, and they're already in a zone. They're already in their natural way of meditating. And the fact that they have to count and apply the locks and the 4 sounds and whatever, that causes so much resistance in those people, they just don't want to do that. And if they try, they become irritated. It is disturbing rather than helping them. So this can happen also when you reach a certain level of development. As a result of your practice over the years, you reach a certain level of development, and you have actually developed natural ability to be in a kind of meditative state, or even in a samadhi kind of state. If then you sit here and have to go through all these steps, what you described, it can become a distraction. And it actually, what you said in other words is it ruined your samadhi rather than building it up. So experiment. Be a rebel. You must be a rebel, otherwise you're not going anywhere. Yeah, rebel against the system. Of course, not in my class. The substratum is that in which the properties latent, active or unmanifest inhere. I think we really covered this in the morning with this whole issue about coming to the essence of things. And coming to the essence of things is really feeling, is pure feeling. You feel energies, you feel situations even when they have not manifested yet. You feel the energy that is there that will form the seed, and out of this seed will grow a situation. That is the latent form. So it is latent means that it is there, but it hasn't manifested yet. Like you also have qualities and characteristics, good or bad, that lie dormant in you, and as a result of your practice of yoga, for example, especially the practice of yoga leads to the manifestation of those latent energies in you. This is also how you come to Dharma, to connect with your Dharma. In the morning we found out that Dharma actually means feeling. So you connect with this refined feeling in you that everybody is carrying but most people are not aware of. As a result of yoga you get there. And you have certain qualities in you that have not had a chance to develop during your days in school and your life until so far. Work in the office or school or wherever you work, or at home. It is because of yoga. Well, yoga is a superficial concept. It is because of your increasing silence that you nurture by practice, standing still, physically, mentally. It is by this change in your condition and perception that you start to become aware of these subtle energies in you, these subtle characteristics in you. And as a result of that, with time, you will more and more express that. So that is the process here. It is again referring to Samyama, But it is not just in Samyama that this happens, although the impression here is given that this only happens if you practice Samyama. But this has started, this whole process has started already when you, maybe even before you started practicing yoga, but if not there, it started really from the moment that you stepped inside a yoga class. There is an example of a conflict with a person when you end up in a fight or so. I have applied this in this issue with the parents of Sam, really. Just feeling people's essence, coming to what it is really about rather than all the static they are spreading, and just chop wood, as we would say in Dutch. Do you have such an expression in English? Just cut to the chase and chop wood down. Come to the core of what everything is about. No nonsense. I would almost have used another word, but that is verbal violence. Nonsense, which is a nice word for BS. The issue that you have, and this is causing your impatience, or the impatience that I described this morning in contradiction with the qualities of a turtle, is when you see the essence of things, you cannot but come to the core. You cannot but cut out the nonsense and come to the core. Because not doing so is very, very frustrating. And in case of a relationship, it will just destroy the relationship. Can you follow that? The cause of the difference in transformation is the difference in the underlying process. Well, this is the difference of looking at things on the surface, as most people tend to do in the world that we live in, or really making soul contact, making real connection with essence in things and coming to the core of it. You can apply this comparison of the hare and the tortoise. The hare is running around frantically, spending a lot of energy, but not coming to the core of things, not coming to the essence of things. The tortoise is very thoughtful, very slow, very steady, and it comes to the core of things. Yes?
People don't like the core.
People don't like the core?
Yeah. In my experience, when I come to the core of things, what I think is the core,
Yes.
I always come.
Yeah, people hate your guts, I know that. So you become more and more an individual in this society. You learn also to... Say again?
It's very frustrating.
Yes?
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you are very right. We talked a little bit about this in the morning in another context, in the context that when you discover your qualities and you develop this ability to always come to the essence of things quickly, you will find that you always know better. So you have a boss He's supposed to be your boss and tell you what to do and how to do it. And you listen to him and you think, what the hell is this? It should be done this way. If we do it in that way, it's going to cost a lot of time and a lot of effort and actually it's not really going somewhere. But if we do it in this way, my way, it's done in a minute and it really starts making sense of everything. Your boss doesn't like it because he will say, I'm your boss, I'm telling here what is going to happen here. And this is a very simple situation, of course, boss to a worker, but you find this in a relationship with parents maybe, in a relationship with your partner, or in other relationships, basically bringing you to the conclusion that you must develop your own realm in life, your own kingdom, I called it this morning, where you can decide how things are being done. So Eve then immediately said, yes, I recognize this with my boss. Actually, I would like to kill her. And many of you will have this feeling. You just, every boss, every leader, whether it is in politics or in business or whatever, every manager, leader, boss, king should have the ability to come to the essence of things. That is what gives you leadership qualities. That is what gives you qualities to manage things efficiently and also fairly, that people do not feel unfairly treated. But most bosses and managers and other kinds of leaders are lacking those qualities, and therefore people like you will always have conflict with them, simply because you know better. And it is not bad or even ugly or arrogant to think that you know better, because in the end you must come to the conclusion that that is just a reality. Why? Because of this. You have trained to come to the essence of things, and you become more and more efficient at it. It happens each time that you find yourself in situations, you come faster and faster to the essence of things. And people hate you for that. I've been in relationships in which my partners start to hate me because I'm always right. You always know better. And that is not a rebuke, it is an acknowledgement, but they hate you for it. And what can you do about that? Well, but that is the advantage if you're both in the same, you're both in the yoga class and you are both developing kind of simultaneously.
In other situations it happens that when I say something and I'm like, okay, maybe I should be quiet. I wonder if I should just be quiet and not say.
Well, that depends on the situation, but if you keep quiet, you become incredibly frustrated. And you can do that for a while just to keep the peace, but you end up getting stuck. You get up harming yourself. You violate the principle of truthfulness to yourself and also non-stealing.
Well, what about attachment? Surely it's ego to always say.
Of course, I understand what you're saying, but as a yogi you have become so, the yamas and the niyamas have become so ingrained in you that you always question yourself. Is it not my ego here? Am I being pure? Feeling like this? Reacting like this? You always ask yourself 100 times. In the end you come to the conclusion that you are actually pretty correct. And you have followed the whole checklist of moral principles, do's and don'ts, and again from different angles. And at some point you just say, hey, but actually it appears that actually I'm quite right here. Without ego, without arrogance. And you have checked purity of motive, etc. That becomes also, in my case at least, I do that all the time, in everything. I'm constantly questioning myself. critically. Because that has become my mechanism to not end up in trouble. But in situations like in relationships, especially when those relationships are kind of unavoidable, like in case of employer-employee, or business partner, people on whom you depend and who depend on you, you cannot. There is a time that you really must not express yourself directly, otherwise it will destroy everything. And what I said to Eve this morning is that the only way to go eventually is to develop your own business, your own kingdom. But that is something that you have to start planning for that. So you first have to determine what it really is that you want, and then project that into the future, and then start working on the foundation. In the meantime, you'll have to accept that situation in which you are working for a boss who is paying your bills, and just try to sit out your time. Abide your time? Can you say that in English? Bide your time? Bide your time. And that can lead to frustration, etc. But what keeps you going is your dream into the future. That is what helps you to deal with the other people's ignorance with a smile, basically. And you just say, well, just wait a couple of years more. Or wait and see, just wait and see. And you just, while having to deal with that, whenever you have time and room and space, you just focus on laying the foundation for the future. And eventually, all of you, I'm pretty convinced, all of you, one way or another, will be totally independent. Or you'll find a way of dependency, like I've done here in the gym, in which you're not bothered or blocked in any way. That was a work in progress. I got it where I wanted. What I learned over the last couple of years is to trust myself. And have some self-respect also for the qualities that I have. Because I've always underestimated that or not put the right value on it. But time and experience has proven the value of it. And we all have to give ourselves some slack, because we have more and better qualities than we dare even think of or admit to ourselves. And we have to get to work with that. Your increased sensitivity is really an asset. And it can lead to conflict, but you handle it sensibly. And you keep an eye on the future, where you want to go and where those special qualities that you have will bring you. Because they will bring you. And they bring you to your own kingdom, where you decide what will be done. And many people want to be part of that kingdom, because they feel your heart, they feel your fairness, they feel your leader qualities. If you look at the existing companies, there are certain company leaders that stand out. Why do they stand out? Because they have these qualities. That is why people look up to them. That's why people write books about them. Or they write books themselves about how to be successful, how to manage things rightly, properly, etc. It's people with these kind of qualities that we are discussing here. Managers, bosses, company owners who lack these qualities, you will see that their companies are full of division, conflict, subversion, rebellion. People are not motivated in those companies. Like you feel lack of motivation to work for your ignorant boss or whoever you are working with. If your boss is clever, he would say, "Hey John, it seems actually you know better than I do. Come into my office and tell me some more about it."
Luckily, my boss is also usually always right.
What?
Luckily, my boss is also usually always right.
Poor John. I don't believe that.
No, I have a good friend, and he cuts the record. I learn a lot from him. Because
Okay.
with everything else, he can't help but talk for hours about anything. But when it comes to certain things, he gets straight to the point.
Okay.
I'm lucky.
So, the last sentence says, the first important tool in your life is feeling, which is intuition. You know this, huh? Feeling is intuition, intuition is feeling. Intuition really is your antenna. It is not some organ inside your brain or your cerebellum, small brain. Intuition is really more like a radar. It is an antenna that is very sensitive to the energies that are out there. And that is why you have this ability to catch even the seed of an event that is not even manifested yet. Intuition is pure feeling. The more sensitive you are, the stronger your intuition. The 16th sutra is giving us the first actual Samyama exercise. So you build the triangle of light, and then it says, by performing Samyama on the three kinds of transformations, Nirodha, Samadhi and Ekagrata, knowledge of the past and future. So this is how you become a fortune teller. And Jane gave me the book Autobiography of a Yogi, and after the introduction he just starts telling about his life, and he actually starts telling about his consciousness as a baby, a little baby, describing his resistance he felt with the people around him, how they were treating him like a baby. And this memory he has not always carried with him. That memory came to the surface at some later point in life. Like I also have memories of childhood, early childhood. But that is this Samyama. And together with the development of your ability to see the past, which allegedly extends into previous lives, first is the question, of course, whether you believe in previous lives or not. And second is, how do you see that? I know people who describe previous lives with very vivid images, pictures, etc. I've never consciously felt previous lives, but I have felt certain, very vague, but I have felt that certain events must have taken place that have led me to come to the life that I'm in now. But it is very vague. It's impossible to just describe that because it's very much a feeling. Like, in fact, knowing the past and the future is a feeling. It's not a vision, it's a feeling. And if you have this ability to know the past, which is easier than you think, you develop simultaneously the ability to see the future, because they are linked with each other. Can you follow this? To see the past, you first see yourself in the present. And based upon the feeling that you carry with you, you discover aspects of your past, even in early childhood, that are the result of your refined feeling to come to the essence of yourself. Then when you develop that consciousness, you automatically, probably in the beginning even subconsciously, unknowingly, you already develop a vision for the future also. That is not a fantasy, like I want to be a pilot, or I want to be rich. It is really a feeling deep in your heart of knowing with capitals, knowing where you will be in 20 or 30 years' time, or 10 years' time for that matter, doesn't matter, but you already see somewhere in the future where you will be going, where you will be. You don't know the details, you don't know exactly the location, but you have an overall sense of where you are going and where you will be at some point in time. And with that, having developed this ability with yourself, you see the past and the future also outside yourself, of the world you are living in. In this sense, a little bit of history study is very helpful, because understanding history helps you very much to put the dots together of how life has came to be as it is now, in the society that you live in now. It makes you understand very much the law of karma being at work also. And it helps you also to see where the world is going in 100, 200, 500,000 years' time, 10,000 years' time even. Can you follow this? You probably have already had flashes of recognition here. If you want to put yourself to the test with this Samyama, you at first do it in a controlled way, not the exercise, but you pick some date in history that you can, after the exercise, check on the internet, type in that date and the location, and then see if what you saw in your exercise is actually coming close to what really happened. I may have told you this before, that I applied this technique to this area. We were just here in this area in Yoido, and I think it must have been this Samyama on the past and the future. So I picked Yoido, obvious, this is where we are, and I wanted to see what was here 25 years ago. So that was 5 years ago, and I picked 25 years ago because at that time, that was 25 years ago, that was the time of the Olympic Games. So easy to search on the internet what is going on at that time. It was a time of big change also, and I wanted to know if 63 building was already here at that time. So going in that exercise, we were at that time meditating 1 hour and 40 minutes or so. You build up. And of course in the beginning I was just guessing. I was fantasizing. I saw little boats in the river catching fish and so on. And small fishermen's village. It was just total nonsense actually. Pure fantasy. And I knew that was not correct. So at some point, because you are meditating for such a long time, At some point you just let everything go. But this task is still inside you because you started out with this task to see what is happening here. And at some point I saw dump trucks and diggers and loads of sand in this area between the highway and the river. And then I looked it up on the internet, and indeed the 63 building was actually built exactly during the time of the Olympic Games. You can experiment with this. Pick a time in history, a place, and then sit down and just plant the seed. And you will see, you will also start with fantasy first. You will just start guessing and filling in the picture with things you already know, based upon maybe some books that you've read or some ideas that you just have about it. But you have to go beyond that. And really this requires long, at least 1.5 hour meditation. Everything has to disappear. You have to come to this very refined realm, very refined level, really, where your antenna starts to pick up things.
Sounds like remote viewing. Have you heard of that term before? Remote viewing? It sounds like that. Like some people have that, or claim to have an ability to see what's going on at a different location or at a different time, like, or maybe someone wants to know what's going on in New York right now at a certain location.
Yeah.
And there's some people who claim they have that ability to
If you train yourself consistently, you will be able to do that. You can in fact move your consciousness not only all over the world, but throughout the universe. It's called flying through space and time. So, some people have this spontaneously, or some people have had brain surgery in which they removed a certain part that has opened the way for such a special ability. But with this kind of practice, if you want to, if you pursue it, which is a little bit tricky because there is desire involved, but if you pursue it with a pure motive, you can actually really develop such ability to a great extent, to great height. The question is, of course, why would you do that and what do you want to do with it? But it is very possible, yeah.
Supposedly, like, I don't know what year it was in, but the U.S. military had invested in a team to, like, use it for war purposes, to, like, get a team of remote viewers who claimed they had that ability so they could, like, detect where the enemy was.
Okay.
So I read about that, it took place, and it was, supposedly they discontinued the study, but I don't know.
Do you
There's a
know?
movie based on it called Men Who Stare at Goats.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Say again?
Like Men Who Stare at Goats.
Men who stare at goats?
Yeah, because that's what they were practicing on, like.
Okay.
But it was a movie, and the movie's based on the book, which is actually a factual book about the program.
Yeah. Yeah. They try the most crazy things in the army and the secret services, like experimenting with drugs and things, and but interesting.
There's also I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie The Cooler, but it's true. At casinos, they have this is not remote viewing, but they have someone who's unlucky.
Yeah.
Like people who are unlucky, and when the table gets too hot or something, they'll send them over to those tables. But there's a movie called The Cooler based on that. But like different companies use these kinds of things. Like they don't know why, but they know this guy has bad luck. So if someone, so like even if they don't, they can't explain it, but they do use people who can who have some kind of energetic effect.
To make money?
No, the opposite. So like a casino, if they have
Oh.
a customer who's making too much money on a table,
Yeah.
they'll send over this loser, you know, the guy who's got bad luck, to play at the same table.
Oh, I
and
see.
always ruins a lucky streak. But that's an actual job in casinos.
Really?
And of course, no one knows who he is, you know, because that would blow his cover. But no,
Mm-hmm.
it was like that.
Okay.
Read some anti-coolers.
I know, yeah.
New job
Years.
idea.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
I know, but look up. There's a movie based on that.
Okay. You have any questions about this?
Do you have a question about like meditation in general? I guess maybe sort of about these, like maybe the past and present, or past and future one, like I mean, that's looking at something that's not present, like past or future, but would you ever use meditation, like say there's an issue or some kind of particular problem in life, like maybe, I don't know, just using your life for an example, like you talked earlier about, you know, Sammy and the father, maybe there was some, you know, wasn't sure what to do. Would you ever like purposely sit down with that, like, and meditate and find an answer, or?
No, it doesn't work. When you meditate, you just meditate, and then if you have a pending issue, it will automatically rise to the surface and find an answer. If you sit down on purpose to solve something, that you set yourself up for failure. You just have to let it go. And if it is really important, then it will solve itself. And yeah, people always ask me what I do. And I say I do nothing, but that is what you do. Just existing and being connected with everything. In between the activities, there are of course always some things that need to be done, some chores and things. But that is the life of a yogi, I guess, that you create a realm in which you can just exist as a sentient being. So not too busy. Being too busy is just not good for a yogi, or any sentient being for that matter, because it just overshadows your sensitivity. And if you are sensitive, you feel resistance with being busy. Every one of you. You feel resistance with being busy. It feels like there are people who can work 14, 16 hours a day. There are people who work 2 or 3 jobs and even study next to that. And they seem perfectly happy. As a sentient being, you can't. You kill yourself. You need room. Ideally with a part-time job, so that you just have time to just be. Without any particular purpose, just be. And I'm pretty sure that most of you feel this resistance if you are busy, if you have a busy job. So, into the future, try to create some room. If you have a chance to change jobs in the future, try to find a job that has less pressure, less hours also. And if that seems impossible, then start at least making preparations for going in that direction. Several people in this class have already done this. I know that.
I have another question, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, we were doing the Samadhi with the Sananda, and I think Eve mentioned something like before about, like, in Mudra will sort of bring energy, reclaim energy, or sort of like take it back inside, and Pranayama, I think we're spreading energy in Kumbhaka. But like in this part, in the Ananda, like with the feeling, can we do anything with it? Like make it like bigger or more intense, or or something like?
It becomes, you install the feeling, and depending on your ability to disengage, you will become that feeling. So you will become ecstasy, you will become bliss. Ultimately, samadhi leads to burning of karma, but what does that mean? You develop such insight through your practice that you see the essence of things, especially things that also bother you from the past, traumatic experiences, bad experiences. And it is the burning of karma. You're not burning something, and your karma will never totally disappear, but it loses its momentum, it loses its significance. How? Because you understand the essence of what was going on at that time. And that is one of the big benefits of your efforts to just practice yoga in general, and of course samadhi is refining that to a new height, bring that to a new height, because what happens with samadhi actually is that when you build up your meditation, and your meditations become intense as a result of regular practice, you have this enormous sense of this rush of energy, which is not even just filling you, you become this ball of energy, raging ball of energy. In samadhi, you accelerated energy even to a higher speed, leading to even more realizations and more sensitivity also, more insight. And with the burning of the karma, you take out of the way the obstacles that keep you from manifesting yourself to the fullest. So there are people who say that karma can disappear totally, and to do so you must meditate, especially samadhi. But in practice, my experience is not that your karma will disappear totally. It will always be there, but it will not influence you anymore. But it will still be there, and it can at some point be triggered in an extreme situation. But it will not stand in the way anymore as it has done for the past years or so from before. It's the same as with emotions. People who are very emotional are constantly blocked by this emotion. It always leads to trouble, conflict within yourself and between you and other people. Your practice of yoga leads not to the disappearing of your emotions, on the contrary. You become more aware of them, and you learn to control them because you understand them. As a result, situations in which normally your emotions would be triggered and become really destructive, cause mayhem in your life, you take a step back and you observe as a third person, hey, what's going on here? And you say, I recognize this. Let's not get into this today. And as a result, you avoid this enormous chaos that usually ensues after emotions rise up, flare up. And you save yourself a lot of time and energy that you usually need to recover, to come back to sattva again. But your emotions will never disappear. Like karma will not disappear. Your emotions are there for a reason. They are instructive, but if you have no control over them, they can actually become destructive. So you become a master over your karma, over your emotions, over your life. Okay, let's have a short break.